everyone, welcome once again to Star Wars Discussions. I am Captain Logan, and with me today, as always, is the amazing Dan Torrey.
Hello, everyone.
And it's the fearful Steve Baxi.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are talking about Episode 12 of Star Wars Rebels. I don't have the episode title for this. Do you guys have the episode title?
I could get it in T-minus a couple minutes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just realized that I did not.
Forgot what it was.
Did not write that down.
It seems like information we should.
Tarkin Rises.
Yeah, Tarkin Rises.
That's
what it's called. It's called Return /
Call to Action is what it's
first
called.
time ever see Tarkin. Call to Action. Okay, so today we're going to talk about... We'll pretend like we're starting over. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Star Wars Discussions. I'm Captain Logan. This is Dan and Steve. Today we're talking about Episode 12, Call to Action. And now we're going to begin straight away with Dan Torrey. Dan, tell us what you thought about this episode, bringing in Tarkin to finally get some business done. What did you think, sir? And give us a best moment and a worst moment.
For people that were watching the extended video, Tarkin's not like one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters or anything. I like him fine. I like Peter Cushing in that role. He's a very good actor, and I thought he brought a certain amount of menacing gravitas to that role when he was alive, when the character was living. So it was cool to see them bring that character back, and I thought the voice actor did a good job of sort of emulating Cushing's speech patterns and the way he sounded and things like that. It was pretty good. I actually think this is one of the better episodes since the pilot. I really liked how Tarkin sort of comes in and tells the Imperials, like, you guys ain't doing this right. We need to actually make things happen now. And he kind of organizes, Agent Callus and the Inquisitor and the Imperial establishment on Lothal, and he kind of teaches them how to go hunt some rebels, and it puts the rebels in some really tense situations. The rest of the show, it has sort of felt like, with the exception of a few places, that the rebels are always going to get out of it, and I was really worried that they were gonna put an easy out for them at the end of this episode, because it was such a tense situation. I didn't know how they were going to contrive any sort of way that I would be satisfied with to get Kanan out of the situation where he's surrounded by these Imperial troops and guns, and he's got the Inquisitor fighting him. Agent Callus is there, and the rest of the rebels kind of escape. And I'm glad that it was left on a cliffhanger where Kanan's in the custody of the Inquisitor. That's a really cool place to put that character. I really liked that we're doing some stuff finally with these people. And there's a lot of talk about trying to get the rebels to unite, and Tarkin worrying about the rebels consolidating their power and becoming a true force to be reckoned with. They need to be crushed while they're small. I'm hoping that we're moving towards building the larger Rebel Alliance now. The show has talked about things that it wants to do in the future and not really deliver at them, at least in a pace that we've been satisfied with. So I'm not holding my breath that we're going to get Mon Mothma in the next episode coming in, like, let's make a Rebel Alliance, guys. It'll probably be a lot slower than that. But I'm glad that we're at least kind of moving that direction. It's pretty cool. And I'm actually eagerly anticipating to see what happens with Kanan moving forward. It's going to be really cool.
Steve, what did you think of this one?
I agree with Dan. You could count on one hand the number of scenes that are important from like the last 12 episodes. And that's been really irritating. But this episode kind of picks it back up. Tarkin drops on the scene and tells everyone that you guys were doing nothing for this much time. Let's get something done finally. And the fact that he's able to command the Inquisitor the way he does, the way he just degrades everyone, and also the fact that the Inquisitor actually does something menacing for once, aside from just kind of standing there and having a really cool voice. So that was all nice to see. The Kanan-Ezra relationship seemed to be a big part of this, and it's been handled really stereotypically until about now. I think it worked a little bit better here. It's still not great. It still really reeks of, I've been here and I've done this before. But going forward, there might be something interesting there. It's very much a New Hope kind of thing where Ezra's without his master for a little while, and we'll see what that does to him. And it's cool that we have Tarkin here for that, since it was a similar scene to Episode 4. Overall, I thought this one was okay. I like the final scene a lot, where Ezra's giving his speech, and Kanan just has to stay there, getting ready to talk to Tarkin and the Inquisitor. I like some of the stuff being done in the background with the Empire, and them trying to tighten their grip and trying to consolidate their power and reaffirm that they are fearful and they're not to be made fun of by a bunch of rebels on the wall. I still think it's moving too slow, though. I feel like this episode could have been a lot darker than it was. It kept switching between being fill-in, journey, quest-building stuff from A New Hope to dark stuff that you'd see in Empire. And I wasn't sure what it wanted to be entirely. I think this is a show that still would watch a lot better in a whole season box set than it does week to week. But if this is a sign of the pace that going forward, I'm a little bit happier.
Okay, well, Steve, I disagree with you a little bit about this episode being too slow and being too light and not dark enough. Just compared to everything we've had lately, because I sure never saw the Inquisitor killing anyone on screen like that, because of the show we've gotten. Compared to everything we've had since the pilot, that was really dark. I was so surprised by it. I felt like I was seeing something a lot more graphic than what I was actually looking at because of what because this show has kind of degenerated lately, for me anyway, into kind of Disney Disney cartoon, just kind of for the kids and not really enough for the adults. And I thought the way that kill was handled was really effective, in that it was on screen, but it was behind Khaled, or it was behind was Tarkin standing right in front of it, and
I think so, yeah.
and I just thought that was really cool. That almost made it more effective to me, just because Tarkin was the focus there, and he's getting things done. He's getting down to business, and he exemplifies everything that the Empire is supposed to be. I love how right they're getting that they are the oppressive state. They make all the decisions for everyone, and if you work for them and you do well, you're rewarded for it, and if not, you're dead. And I think we needed something like this a lot earlier. I mean, I'm glad that we finally got this kind of stuff. I find Tarkin a really relatable character, because as soon as he comes in, he makes all the same criticisms about the show that I've been making. And I thought that was
wondering, because I'm
great.
like, do you relate to him because you order people's executions daily too?
Well, we won't talk about that. And this is not in any way whatsoever a model of what that would look like. But but anyway, no, I thought this one was really quite good, actually, and I'll echo what you guys both said about the cliffhanger. Tarkin, the only thing I could see happening in that situation is that he would make sure that that Kanan was made an example of, because they've not been getting the job done, and every time they send stormtroopers up against these rebels, they always lose and nothing ever happens. And so there's no way that he would do anything but kill the guy to make a point to the rest of them, both to his people and to the rest of the rebels. And I love that there just wasn't even enough time for any of that to happen. It is very possible that the next episode there will be a really, really contrived way that Kanan gets out of that situation. I really hope that it's not he's being held onto so that Tarkin or Callus or someone can interrogate him for information or something. I kind of hope they don't go there. I don't think that would happen. I think he would just kill him. I mean, he may do a New Hope thing and be like, where is the rebel base or whatever. I guess I could kind of see that, but it seems like it would be a lot more consistent with what his tactics have been so far, to just straight up kill the guy right there, especially because he's the last Jedi as far as they know, and you wouldn't think that he would want him still around at all. I liked this one quite a bit, and partly just because it felt like it mattered.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked Tarkin's characterization in this, because there's this one line at the end of the episode where he's speaking to the rest of the Imperials, and he's saying that he knows what must be done in order to win a war, and that's how Tarkin views himself. He views himself as a necessary evil in a grand, greater cause, and that's sort of what the Empire should view themselves as like, you know, they bring order to the galaxy at some sort of cost, and whatever they do in order to bring that order and not have complete and utter chaos is justifiable. And it's not like any big philosophical discussion in the episode, but I thought that lent a lot to his characterization, that line specifically.
Yeah, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me a lot of Captain Pelion from the Zahn books, where he seems like he's an aged veteran of the Empire, and he has a lot of experience. He understands how things are running, so he's got a system in place, he's got a mindset, he's got a philosophy that he doesn't care to explain as long as he gets the results he's asking for.
And from Tarkin's position, too, it's like, he doesn't see any other way as effective because look at the place that the Empire's in. Like, their tactics is what got them to the top in the first place. They wouldn't be as powerful if they showed any mercy from his position. So I think all of that is very, very interesting.
Well, and I think the hope versus fear thing is working really well now in a way that it had kind of just been hinted at before and wasn't brought enough to the forefront. And I really like that Tarkin makes it a us versus heroes thing, where it's like the thing that makes it most easy or most possible for us to defeat the rebels is that they have compassion and mercy, and we don't have that, or we shouldn't have that. And I think what's really cool is, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, and maybe this should have been again something more in the forefront, but perhaps one of the reasons that the Empire hasn't caught the rebels yet is because their hearts aren't in it. A lot of the people that have been sent after them. What has the incentive been so far? They're not ruthless. They're just hired. You know, they're just there for a paycheck, and they're just kind of, you know, spreading the rhetoric because it's the way for them to put food on the table for their families or whatever. But now you get Tarkin in here, and I feel like Tarkin could continue to be elaborated on and be a really, really super interesting character. Tarkin comes in and he says, "No, you have to embody what we represent, or because of what we represent, we will kill you." And so he's like trying to force everyone that works under him to be that same kind of ruthless. And so the incentive is, if you do this, you will get to live. And we don't care about you any more than we care about the rebels.
Yeah, and me and Steve were talking a little bit about this on Facebook before we started recording. There's a novel that just came out that's in the new expanded universe canon that's kind of been paved over now that Disney is doing their own thing with it, and it's about Tarkin, his relationship with the Emperor. And after this episode, I'm kind of keen on reading it.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting because I don't know, I have sort of a renewed interest in the character after this episode, and I'd like to read more about him.
Yeah, and I just bought the novel, and it's written by the same guy that does Darth Plagueis, and Darth Plagueis is one of the best Star Wars novels as far as taking place in the prequel trilogy is considered. And it's not as good as Plagueis, but it's really, really fascinating. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, too, where they're trying to make Tarkin the new Thrawn, and it works in that novel in a way that it doesn't work just when you say it. He's played up as a far more interesting character in that. So if they keep alluding to that, or if they keep building on that backstory, he could very well be a really popular character in his own right.
I just feel like taking this show, and maybe I'm enjoying this episode slightly more than you guys, just because I don't have as much experience with Star Wars as you guys do. But like, just taking the show on its own terms, he is a lot more interesting than a lot of other characters you've had in the show so far, right? I mean, like,
definitely.
Just up front, I'm immediately.
He has a lot of presence. About, like, in the movie when he first appears, like, the performance is good, and he has some like interesting relationship, especially with Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader is kind of subservient to him in A New Hope, which is something I think a lot of people forget about.
Yeah.
Because you always think as Darth Vader only being subservient to the Emperor and being his own kind of like, you know, unbridled, you know, powerful dude, villainous guy. So I think there's some seeds of potential coolness in Tarkin. It just wasn't. There just wasn't a lot done with him in that original film, obviously, because they were too busy focusing on Obi-Wan and Vader's relationship and stuff. So I'm glad that they're doing more stuff with him for sure, because he has potential, definitely.
We have a comic store owner in our documentary who is such a giant Star Wars fan. He named his son Tarkin. And,
interesting.
That's awesome.
I kind of want to send him a message after seeing this episode and ask him if he watched this, because he's probably super excited about Tarkin getting some kind of character development now after he named his son. And he told me the story. This bit isn't in the documentary, so I'll tell it here. He told me the story about how his kid comes up to him one day and says, "Hey, how come you named me after a bad guy?" And then he was like, this kid's like 3 or 4, and then he was like, okay, so you named me Tarkin, how come you didn't name me Grand Moff? And I just think that's really funny.
in any situation that called for it, if that was my name, I would just say, "You may fire when ready." All the time. I would just say that all the time.
I want to throw out a minor criticism, and I don't know if you guys have this, and I think it was used earlier in the series, so this is perhaps a redundant criticism, but should we really be using the Darth Vader theme when there's no Darth Vader there? I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, the fact that it was Tarkin made it a little more okay, just because then I thought he was really menacing, and I was kind of excited about him, but when he walks out, I was like, because you know, they did a slightly extended version of the pilot where there's like one scene with Darth Vader, and I got excited. I thought maybe we got Vader, and then Tarkin walks out, and I was like, I don't know that that's fair. I think you're messing with the audience there. What do you guys think?
Well, to be fair, and I guess this would be a counterpoint from some people, is it wasn't the Darth Vader theme until after the couple movies, and until that point, it was just the generic Empire theme.
Was it though?
So, it's called the Imperial March in the composition books and stuff like that.
No, and I know that, and I liked it. And I mean, remember, I liked it when they actually played it in the parade. that was great. But like, I don't know. You've got a ship flying in. It's too reminiscent. I guess my point is here. It's too reminiscent of the first time you see Vader in A New Hope, and when it's not Vader, I don't know. I kind of expected him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I guess it's a fair expectation.
It reminded me a lot of when the Emperor comes out of the shuttle in Return of the Jedi, too.
Or maybe that's
it's
what I'm
obviously
of.
less grandiose, because, the entire Death Star stormtroopers line up for the Emperor in that, but they do use the Imperial March theme when he comes in, too, so it reminded me a little bit of that as well.
Okay, well, maybe it's not a problem. It's just I thought the show was saying, we're giving you Vader, guys.
I mean, that would have been awesome. I love me some Darth Vader.
Well, he's supposed to appear later in the season, so we'll see.
Okay, cool. Well, that's
awesome.
That's exciting. That's okay, because I'm getting plenty of Vader in Jason Aaron's Star Wars comics right now, and that's enough for me. He's pretty awesome there. Does anybody else have, or does anybody else? We've got a group of like 20 people in here right now. No. Do either of you guys have anything else you want to say about this episode before we move on? I guess we haven't done any of the categories. Any quotes? Anything?
Not too many quotes. Predictions-wise, I hope after we save Kanan that that the rebels have kind of been somewhat broken. Like, Grand Moff Tarkin knows every location they've been at. They've sent probe droids out to look for them. I hope this forces them to leave this planet and they go and do other stuff.
That's what I keep saying. Now, I just thought of a possible counter to the whole they're only on Lothal thing. We had, and I mean, I don't know if I like this, because I'm with you, Dan. I wish they'd go places. But here's a suggestion. Is it, and I mean, this is convenient, but is it possible that part of the reason they've kept them on Lothal is because if they were out too much in the universe, they would find other packs of rebels? Because there's this really kind of cryptic thing, or at least mysterious thing, that Tarkin keeps saying about other rebel sects. And I keep wondering if he's just making that up to, try to inspire his troops, or if there really are other rebel sects, and if we actually left Lothal, we would have found some of them.
Well, I mean, there has been hints that these rebels are trying to, hook up with other rebel cells, and that's the whole point of the episode, is to try to contact them. So I would imagine they actually do exist.
Yeah.
I don't think Tarkin's lying about that in any way. I just wish they would have gone out and tried to find the rebel sects sooner, because we still don't know what their plan, what they've been trying to accomplish is. Like, it's still in the dark. Hera and Kanan know what it is, but we haven't told the audience yet. So, hopefully that's interesting. They finally reveal it.
We don't like to tell the audience a lot in this show, and sometimes we like to just straight up, or just like make the audience think they're going to get a thing and then never tell them about it, ever. And now I wonder if the thing with his parents is even, if there was anything ever, and they just pretended like there was, but because I don't know. Okay, I'm jumping all over the place, but let's do trivia questions really quick, because then I have one more question for you guys. Did you guys have any trivia questions? I had nothing from the episode, so you guys go ahead.
I didn't write one down at the start.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, well, I've got one.
Go ahead, Steve.
Tarkin on film is played by Peter Cushing, as we talked about. What role was Cushing originally offered for A New Hope?
I'm gonna say Yoda. I'm kidding. Yoda's not even in A New Hope.
I didn't realize he was offered another role. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was offered this particular role, and part of the reason he didn't get it is because they thought he just worked as Tarkin so well.
Which is hilarious, because it's not like Tarkin got a lot to do. Dan,
yeah, it's strange.
Dan, do you want to take a guess? I think it would be fun to guess.
I mean, my instinct would be Obi-Wan, because Cushing kind of played. Cushing in the Hammer horror films used to play good guys, and that's part of the reason why they cast Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, is because he used to play Dracula in the Hammer movies, and Cushing used to go up against Lee in those movies. They were antagonists. So I would say maybe Obi-Wan.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Steve? Cool.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to guess too. Look at us. We got it right.
That's cool.
I had one more note.
I'm glad they gave him Tarkin instead, because I like Alec Guinness a lot. Even though he didn't like playing that role, he thought it was fairy tale fluff that never would go anywhere, and then look what happened, you know?
Yeah, and then it changed the world, and probably to him for the worst, and then we all got really unsophisticated. Well, I have one more question for you guys before we go, and again, I don't know Star Wars anything like you guys, so this is just a question. Is there any pre-established canonical thing anywhere of the Rebel symbol supposed to be something like a phoenix rising from the ashes?
It used to be the symbol of the Jedi Order.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's been around for a while. So, and I think that where that symbol came from with the Jedi is there was a Dark Horse comic for a little while that was talking about the origins of the Force and the Jedi and the Sith, and the symbol of something that was resembling a phoenix was talked about in those books for a couple issues, but they never said anything definitive about it.
Okay, because here they just straight up showed it like that. I don't know if you guys noticed it. But in this episode,
where did you see it?
In this episode, there's a shot of, I forget now. It was on a wall. It was like inscribed on a wall, like graffiti or something. And it was clearly in the shape of the Rebel symbol, but it was a bird with a fire under it.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I was asking you guys if there was any, if there was, any history for that, because I thought that was really interesting.
They call it a starbird, so it's possible. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wondered if there was any precedent. Okay, awesome. Well, I was just proud of myself for noticing it. So anyway, well, that's gonna be it for us for Star Wars discussions. So, and we don't have to answer Steve's trivia question because Dan and I are brilliant and we figured it out. So, anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching Star Wars discussions, and I was really excited that we actually got something we could sink our teeth into a little bit this time. So, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I liked it more than you guys did, but I don't know. I think I had kind of a giddy kid thing where I was like, cool, people are doing things. So anyway,
which is justified with this show.
Yeah, maybe it is. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks for watching, and if you are watching this as a separate video, thanks again, and we'll see you again next week. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Steve.